Welcome to this MOOC on building basic mobile applications with Flutter. I'll introduce you to what Flutter is and explain why it's a powerful tool in just a moment. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Luciano Baresi. I'm a full professor at Politecnico di Milano, where I've been teaching a course on mobile app development for the last 10 years or so. Every successful project begins with a solid foundation. That's why this course is focused on equipping you with the essential skills needed to create a full functional Flutter app. From here, there are plenty of opportunities to deepen your knowledge and further enhance your development abilities. The mobile market has seen a remarkable growth over the years. To give you a bit of background, it all started in 1973 when Dr. Martin Cooper, an engineer at Motorola, made the first call on a mobile phone. That early device looked nothing like the sleek smartphones we use today. It was heavy and only capable of making calls. Fast forward to today, and while we still refer to them as phones or smartphones, they have evolved into powerful devices capable of running apps for just about anything. To understand the significance of the mobile revolution, let's begin with some key figures. These numbers aren't meant to give you proper context. Today, the global population exceeds 8 billion, and remarkably, there are more mobile phones than people. Mobile devices vastly outnumber laptops and tablets, making them the most widespread digital platform. So if your goal is to reach the broadest possible audience, developing a mobile app is one of the most effective paths to take. This chart illustrates the ratio of mobile devices to population across the world. Even in regions where the percentage is below 100%, which is entirely reasonable, the numbers remain impressively high. This is because setting up a mobile network and encourage mobile phone adoption is often far easier and more cost-effective than building traditional internet infrastructure or distributing computers. The mobile ecosystem is largely dominated by two major platforms, Android and iOS. Android is an open platform which runs on a wide variety of devices produced by different manufacturers. To develop a native Android app, you use Android Studio, a free development environment available on all major computer operating systems, Windows, macOS, and Linux. This makes getting started with Android development relatively easy and widely accessible. On the other hand, iOS is part of a much more closed ecosystem, fully controlled by Apple. To the best of my knowledge, iOS runs exclusively on Apple devices. Apple designs both the hardware, including its own CPUs, and manufactures the devices. If you want to develop a native iOS app, you will need to use Xcode, Apple's official development environment, which is only available on macOS. This chart by Statista provides an overview of the market share of mobile operating systems worldwide from 2009 to 2025. Broadly speaking, out of every 100 devices, around 70 run Android and about 30 run iOS. Looking at these numbers, one might argue that focusing solely on Android and covering roughly 70% of the market is sufficient, making iOS support unnecessary. However, many developers still choose to target both platforms. As we will explore later, there are compelling reasons why supporting both Android and iOS is often the smarter and more strategic choice. When we look at app downloads, Android's 70% market share translate to approximately 4 times more downloads compared to iOS. At first glance, this might suggest that focusing solely on Android is the obvious choice. However, the reality is more nuanced. Despite having fewer downloads, iOS still presents compelling reasons for developers to consider it. From a financial standpoint, the contrast is striking. iOS apps generate more than twice the revenue of their Android counterparts. This underscores the value of supporting both platforms, as they represent two complementary sides of the mobile market. While it's possible to build two separate native applications, one for Android and one for iOS, a more efficient approach is to leverage the shared features and the logic between them. Doing so can streamline development, lower costs, and make long-term maintenance much simpler. Developing mobile apps for different operating systems is quite different from building applications for traditional desktop environments. On conventional computers, developers typically have the flexibility to use various programming languages, and the same code can often run on multiple platforms with minimal changes. For example, a Python program usually works across Windows, macOS, and Linux. Mobile development, however, presents a different set of challenges. To create apps for app devices, developers use Swift, a language developed by Apple, which replaced Objective-C. For Android, the preferred language is Kotlin, which has substituted Java. Kotlin is a more modern and streamlined version of Java and runs on the same virtual machine. While Swift and Kotlin are both modern object-oriented languages, they are fundamentally different. You can't write code in one and compile it for the other. Because developing two separate native apps is often inefficient and costly, the industry has embraced cross-platform solutions. These tools allow developers to write a single code base that can run on multiple platforms, typically Android and iOS, and often even Windows, macOS, Linux, and the web. Early solutions used web technologies like HTML5 and JavaScript, embedding web apps inside native wrappers to simulate mobile functionality. More advanced frameworks have since emerged. React Native by Meta builds on React and uses JavaScript and JSX to create native mobile interfaces. Xamarin, backed by Microsoft, enables developers to use C# and Visual Studio to build cross-platform apps. Flutter, created by Google, relies on the Dart language and has quickly become one of the most popular cross-platform frameworks. Although there are experimental efforts to support languages like Python for mobile development, these are not yet widely adopted in the mainstream mobile ecosystem. It's now time we start focusing on Flutter.